Hi Flosstube, how you been? Welcome to my channel. My name is A Stitch Too Far. Welcome back all my subscribers. I'm happy to say that I've almost hit 400, which is totally amazing. Thank you very much for subscribing. And if you're new to my channel, also welcome. And if you like me, please subscribe and join me for my other videos. So, it's been 2 weeks. I'm having my coffee. It's actually a pretty nice day today in the Netherlands. It's sunny and quite warm. And it is October 16th, by the way. I love 16, it's my favorite number. And I'm going to show you what I've been up to for the past 2 weeks stitching wise. Nothing much else to report except it's autumn, and I don't know why everybody else likes autumn, but it's my least favorite season actually. I don't like it because it's getting dark early again and I hate darkness. And also in the Netherlands autumn means just mainly cold and wet weather. So except for today it's usually not much fun. But anyway, I'm here to talk about stitching. And I've worked on all my WIPs in the last 2 weeks, and I've actually made quite a bit of progress. And let's just get on with it and show you what I did. And my first piece I'm going to show you is Death by Cross Stitch, which, as most of you know, looks like this when it's supposed to be finished. But I didn't pick black, I picked red colors for it, and here's where I got to. Over the last couple of weeks. I think the last time you saw it I had a bit of the border done and some of the horse or the unicorn, and as you can see I have changed up the border. I removed all the variegated floss in the 2 outer borders and replaced it with the regular DMC. I'm using DMC 902 for this. And I'm really happy with how that is looking. I think it's not so busy, and yeah, it's not distracting from the piece. I thought the variegated border was distracting a bit. I'm still using the variegated in the borders in the pattern, and I've done quite a lot. I actually was putting off working on this for a bit because I was sort of dreading the 1/1 stitching with the variegated, because you have to do each cross separately before you move on, and I was dreading the time it would take. But actually I spent the last couple of days working on it, and I did actually manage to do quite a bit, because the last couple of days I did all this border and all this. So yeah, really pleased with it. I'm actually stitching this upside down, by the way, because then it's closer to where I'm working. So I'm looking at it like this all the time. And this is where I thought it looked really weird stitching it upside down, because it also almost looks like a weird kind of bearded face or something. Anyway, that's just my weird thoughts while I'm stitching it. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the progress I made on that. And I'm also very happy with the color choice that I did. I am using Thread Heaven for the variegated floss, because I find that it tends to knot quite a bit if I'm not careful. So I'm using that, as well as flicking it backwards and forwards all the time to see if there's any knots on the back. But yeah, great progress. I think I'm going to move to the right of the pattern next, and we'll see how far we get for the next update. So, the next piece I'll show you is my Takapuna Beach, which is covered in floss a bit, and it's glaring like crazy. But this is part of what the end result will be. And I've started on this side, so I'm working my way diagonally across the pattern. And I think I talked about this in my previous video, that I restarted it. And I made quite a big progress since you last saw it. As you can see, I'm still doing the diagonal stitching and I'm absolutely loving it. I think my stitches look really neat. And I'm also liking the variegation in the colors while I'm stitching, because I'm stitching the greens as well as the blues and the reds. So that's nice variation from the other pieces, which are mostly one color. I'm really happy with trying out this technique, and I really recommend anyone to have a go at it and see if they like it. Once I got the hang of it, it's quite quick to stitch. So as you can see, I've done a lot of the tree already, and as I'm going to move along, there's going to be sky coming up here and more tree going down here. And then the third thing I worked on is my patient stitcher, and that is going to look like this. Oh, sorry. I did choose some different threads for this, but they're pretty close to that picture, and here is what I got to. I think the last time I showed this on YouTube, I only had the top word stitched, so I added doesn't take, and I also filled in a lot of the yellow background around the words, and this is actually close to a page finish, because there's going to be some more lettering coming in here for the word patience, but that's about the border of the page. So I would say I'm about a quarter of the way done on this piece, and I am contemplating whether I'm going to go and finish up the word first, or whether I'm going to do the border, the flower border on this side. I haven't decided yet. We'll see when I pick it up again what I'll do with it. I'm still loving this piece because I just love the dinky dye and silk that I'm using. It is such a blessing to work with. It doesn't knot at all, and it just looks beautiful and shiny and fluffy. Really happy with that. So before we move on, let's get another sip. And then we've got, I've had such a lovely time stitching on this as well. This is Cirques de carreaux by Cirques de carreaux by Ink Circles. I really love this. And then here's where I'm at the moment. Let's see if I can get it in frame. I think that's about it. I'm trying to see through the fabric. But yeah, I've done quite a lot. I think the last time you saw it, I only had about this part done, and I've been working on this pattern here and filling in this pattern. And this is also close to a page finish, because, well, I think it's a page finish because I think the page is something like this. So yeah, there's 6 pages in total, so yeah, I'm really pleased that I got close to a page done on this. I'm just still in love with the floss as well. Actually, I bought 4 skeins of the floss, the variegated floss I'm using on this piece. And I'm still working with the first skein, so I think I might have some left over. So that's what I'm thinking about at the moment, what I'm going to do with that. And I'm suspecting that I bought the same amount of floss, variegated floss, for the Death by Cross Stitch piece. I might also have something left over from that as well, so who knows, maybe I will give it away to someone. We'll see. And then the last piece I worked on is Save the Stitches, and I managed to finish block 7. And I started the outline of block 8. So this is what it looks like as a whole. As you can see, I've moved the scroll bars up again. and I can zoom in a bit. There is a tiny mistake in one of the patterns. I'm not going to tell you which one because I don't think anybody will see it unless they're told to. But yeah, that's all the horizontal parts of the block 7. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm still enjoying working on this, and it does go rather quickly. And I'm going away for a weekend trip with my family in 2 weeks, and I'm contemplating what stitching I will bring, because I do have a sort of on-the-go piece, but I haven't been on the go taking it along with me for, I don't know, months now, so it's turning into a bit of a UFO. I might take that because I can just stitch on that on a Q-snap. It's all satin stitch, pretty easy to do. But I also would like to bring one of the pieces I'm working on currently, and I'm thinking it might be the Save the Stitches piece, because I could get in quite a few blocks maybe, and it only requires two threads, so it wouldn't take a lot to pack it up, except I would have to bring my frame stand with me, and I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, that's my progress for the past 2 weeks, and I have been very good and not bought anything else, but I have been tempted quite a bit. I am getting that itch again where I actually want to start something. But looking at my progress, I know that these pieces are all very big except for Patient Stitcher, so I'm not looking at a new start really soon, and I still have 2 planets to stitch. So if I really get the urge, I might pick up one of those and start the 3rd planet on that piece I'm doing, just to scratch that itch, I guess. I have been tempted to buy a pattern. There is actually a sale going on at one of my online shops, and the only problem was it was for everything that was in stock, and the pattern I am thinking of buying is not in stock at the moment. So I was tempted, but I didn't. In case you're wondering what pattern that is, it's the one Goldfishy is doing, the Mirabilia Garden Party. It's actually the only Mirabilia I really want to stitch. I'm not into the mermaids or the ladies. Not my cup of tea, I guess. But the Garden Party I really like, and especially I've seen some people stitch them on the darker fabric, and Covered in Cat Hair had 2 videos ago bought a fabric which I think will be perfect for this pattern as well. I think it's Gothic by Picture This Plus. You should check it out, it's just absolutely beautiful. Actually, when I saw that, I was regretting starting my planets on the Black Ada, because I think those would have looked nice on that fabric too. But anyway, I've already gone halfway now, and I'm not too bothered to restart that one again, because I've already restarted that. So that's not gonna happen. But on the Black Ada it will be fine. So that's about it that I wanted to talk about, I think. I'm just checking, because I don't think there were no specific questions I needed to answer with the video. As I mentioned, I will be away for the weekend in 2 weeks, so I'm thinking about when I will do my next update. I think it will just be the week after that, so the next time you see me it will be 3 weeks, and it will be November already. Oh my god, it's going so fast. And I will add on a little tag I did earlier to this video, just to make it half an hour long, about half an hour long I hope. And if there's any tag you would like to see me do, please let me know. And furthermore, I really don't have anything to add except to wish you happy stitching. And thank you all very much for all your lovely comments on both my YouTube channel as well as my Instagram. I really appreciate your encouragements and cheers and appreciation, and it is reciprocal. I don't know how to say it. So see you in about 3 weeks. Bye. Hi guys, I thought I would add a little tag to the video I'm going to shoot for my Flosstube update, because I have a suspicion that I will not be able to fill half an hour of video, and I was browsing the tags to see if there was anything I would like to do, and I came across Mary Ellen's tag from early at the start of this year, and it is quite a long tag, so I decided that I would pick out some questions from that tag that I actually have some maybe interesting answers to and share those with you. You may have noticed that I am not in my usual filming spot. I am actually in my stitching spot, and there's a reason for it which will come up in one of the questions. Okay, so I have the questions over here on the laptop, so I'm going to be looking to that side now and again, and just to see what question it was. So let's get started. The first question I picked out is which artwork or picture that isn't an official pattern would you love to stitch or see become available? I thought that was a really interesting question, because actually at the moment I am trying to find some patterns to do, and I'm having a hard time finding them, and I'm looking specifically for more tribal ethnic patterns. I was inspired by an Indonesian project that is currently going on, where they are stitching traditional batik patterns, and I thought that was really interesting, and I really liked that idea, and I've been looking everywhere for that type of cross-stitch pattern. Also maybe I'm also very interested in Australian Aboriginal art. I would love to do something like that in a cross-stitch, and I'm having a really hard time finding anything like that. And I'm actually contemplating making my own patterns, because I do own some batik fabrics as well as some Aboriginal art, and maybe I'll try and figure out a way to actually make them into a pattern for myself. Other things I want to do are related to places I visited. I like to travel a lot, so I save up my money and I go abroad once every 2 or 3 years to faraway places like Asia, Australia, Middle America. And what I usually do is make a lot of nice photographs, and there are some that I really like the one in the back over here from Australia, that I thought would be actually nice to make into a cross-stitch pattern. And I tried using those online pattern makers, but I'm not really pleased with how they are turning out. For example, the sky often has lots of grays in them, and then I have to fiddle around with it a lot to make them look the way I want them to look. So I'm currently more interested in finding a good program to make your own patterns. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Maybe also some more patterns around the topic of space, because as you may know that I'm very interested in space and planets and stars and nebulas, and there are some good patterns around, but they usually are not very realistic, and if they are, then they're heaven and earth designs, which are like 1,000 by 1,000 stitches. So that's a bit of a challenge for me to start on that But yeah, I would like to see more space related patterns out there too. So the next question I picked out is, what is a piece you would love to stitch and why haven't you stitched it? Well, that's also returning back to my first answer. There is currently an Indonesian cross-stitch project going on where they have selected some traditional batik patterns, as I said, and they have converted them to cross-stitch patterns, and they are stitching them. And I've seen pictures of that on Instagram. I will insert the tag for that, hopefully somewhere in the video. And they are really fun to look at, and actually some of the patterns that I've seen myself when I visited Indonesia, and I would actually love to stitch them. And I asked about if the patterns were available somewhere, but at the moment they're not available outside of Indonesia and outside of that project. So I am hoping very much that it will become available, and then I will definitely stitch a few of those. And another piece I would love to stitch is something that's on my wish list, and that is mostly any pattern by Terence Nolan. The patterns are known as wee beasties, so they are like scarab beetles and butterflies, and they are just absolutely stunning, very detailed. That's what I really like. But unfortunately the designer is missing in action and hasn't been seen or heard of for quite some time, and hasn't produced any more patterns, and the patterns that there are out there are no longer in print, so it's really difficult to come by. Actually, Cozy Egg on YouTube is planning, I hope she will start soon, to start a scarab piece by Terence Nolan, so I'm really looking forward to seeing her stitch that up. Another question, if money wasn't an object, what piece would you stitch? Well, that's a no-brainer. I would do a chatelaine, maybe two. I've coveted the chatelaine pieces for a long time, and now that I'm actually stitching a lot of bigger pieces and not buying a lot or not buying anything, I think I might be able to save up some money to buy a chatelaine and all the things, all the goodies that come with it, to stitch it. And high on my list are two patterns. One is the butterfly pattern that Mrs. Milky Bar Kid finished, and the other one is a rainforest pattern, which I would like to do because it reminds me of a trip I made to Costa Rica, and all the animals on it are animals that I've seen, so that would be kind of a souvenir for me of that trip. Next question that I picked out. What's your most loved piece that you have stitched? And do you have any pieces that you hated stitching? My most loved piece, I'm actually contemplating between two that I'm looking at right now. One of them is the embroidery piece with the birds that you can see a glimpse of when I'm doing my usual Flosstube updates. And the other one is, of course, how can I not say it, the lady with the pearl earring that I finished this summer. I absolutely love both pieces, and I don't think I could choose between them. If God forbid there ever was a fire in my house, I would really try hard to take both of them out with me. Yeah, and there's not really any piece that I've ever worked on that I hated. I've struggled with types of stitches, or with knotting thread, or with fabric that I wasn't enjoying stitching on, like the Takapuna Beach piece. But yeah, and there's not been a time where I actually hated working on a piece, and I think that if I would, then I would just stop stitching on it, because it's a hobby that I want to enjoy and not something that I'm getting frustrated by. even the pieces that I did for other people are always pieces that I enjoyed myself and enjoyed working on. So yeah. Then the question about what is your favorite subject to stitch? And thought that was an interesting question because I never really thought about it, but looking at all the stuff that I'm working on and that I sort of move towards when I'm looking at patterns online are mainly geometrical patterns, like the ink circles patterns that I'm doing right now, or Save the Stitches, but also patterns with nature subjects. So I did the bird, I did another bird piece. I like landscape, detailed landscape and detailed birds or bugs or flowers. I like it when they look detailed and more realistic, basically. And what else? Oh yeah, of course, artwork. There's some old masters that I would love to stitch up. I stitched The Lady with the Pearl, but high on my list are also a piece by Van Gogh, so Starry Night probably, and I've seen a beautiful piece by Klimt, and I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's a lady with a fan. It's a sort of a square yellow background. It's a beautiful piece. I would love to stitch that too. I think Colben has stitched it or is stitching it. So where's your favorite place to stitch was a question. Well, I'm sitting in it. This is my stitchy spot. I think I've shown a clip in one of my earlier videos, so you should recognize it, maybe from a different angle. But yeah, this is a chair that I have gotten about 2 years ago now, and I'm absolutely loving this chair. I can actually do this. I can lean back and sit straight up, which is really nice for stitching, because when I'm stitching I want to sit straight up. But if I'm just relaxing and watching a bit of Flosstube, then I will put it back a bit. And I just love it. It's the perfect height, and my light is just here, and everything I need is just all around me, and that's perfect for me. And one of the questions is how do you store your WIPs? Well, as you can see right behind me, I just store all my WIPs that are in the frames just to the right of me, and I have my frame stand usually somewhere over here or to my left if I'm not working on it. And there's usually also a WIP on the frame stand. I tend to not take out the WIPs from the frames when I'm not working on them, because usually I kind of have a rotation where I work for 2 or 3 days on a piece. So usually I just leave them on a frame because I know I will be working on them again within maybe a week or so. Then another question was, what is something you have learned by watching Flosstube? I would say I learned mainly everything I know about stitching from watching Flosstube. I learned that there are such things as scroll frames, and I learned about the Millennium frame and the Almond frame. I learned about needles and different types of needles, and I found out that I really like bowhand needles. I learned about such a thing as needle minders, which I've never seen. It's hard to come by in the Netherlands, but I really absolutely love them. They are one of my favorite tools for stitching, just not only to keep my needles but also to keep my pattern close by on my fabric. I learned about doing loop starts, which is, I love doing loop starts, and I learned recently from Vonna how to do the pin stitch, which is also something I want to try out. And also I learned about parking, and more importantly I learned about diagonal stitching. And I love learning new things every time and trying to find the things that are really helping me or making stitching even more fun for me. So every time anyone has something to share about how they stitch, I absolutely love to watch those videos, because there's always something in it that I find interesting and maybe want to try out myself. So that's the questions I picked out. There was one question remaining that I picked out, which was do people know you make videos? Which I thought was an interesting question, because I don't talk, outside of Flosstube, I don't talk a lot about my stitching, because mainly no one else I know stitches, and it's like any hobby, if there's no one else doing it, then it doesn't really come up in conversation a lot. So I think a lot of people do know that I stitch, but I don't think anyone knows, except for you of course, that I make Flosstube videos. So we'll see if it ever comes up or not. But yeah, that's about it from the tag I wanted to talk about. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.